Hello, you are watching the latest edition of DBE TV News. We come to you every Friday on the DBE TV channel 122 on OpenView at 12 p.m. and on the Department of Basic Education's YouTube channel. Welcome. I am Tsefohajo Moafi. In our top stories this week, Minister Angie Motshekga visits the Northwest Province for an update on various issues in the Education Department. The Basic Education Department says it is satisfied with the first week of the National Senior Certificate Examinations. The Eastern Cape Education Department monitors the delivery of learning and teaching material for the 2023 academic year. 2 schools in KZN fly the SA flag high in Malawi. Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga visited the Northwest to get a briefing on the progress made in the Provincial Education Department. The province was under administration since 2018, following the removal of then Premier Supra Mahumapelo. Earlier this year, Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee on Section 100 Intervention in the Northwest recommended that Section 100 of the Constitution in the province be lifted, saying the province had improved drastically. Section 100 of the Constitution was invoked in the province after major financial, governance, and capacity challenges. Motshekga received a brief on the ECD function shift in the province and infrastructure delivery progress.
With what I got as a report, will be delivered. I should go back and go and rest and say that's going to be done. They must short me. Then the money to spend. Let me tell you, I'm not that short. I'm not assured, so which means something has to give. There's a shortage of 65%. We want to recruit people in the next 3 months. It's not possible. We've failed the whole year. So what is going to be the solution? So DG and HMD have to help us. Some of the things that I think we can do, DG, was in 3 months we get a company, again, that shall tell it, a professional company to come and fill and do all these tasks now. Because we want to recruit in 3 months. So we're wasting time to think we can recruit it. So we have to look at what the legalities are. To say we have a budget. In the budget, we're going to bring a professional company, actually 65%, and come here and mop up all the things we're supposed to do.
The Basic Education Department says it is pleased with how things have gone for the first week of the National Senior Certificate Examinations. Matric learners sat this week for their final exams, which started on the 31st of October with English Paper 1. Over 900,000 candidates, including part-time candidates, will be sitting for these examinations, which end on the 7th of December. Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga visited Nalmapia's secondary school in Mamelodi to wish the more than 300 matric learners well. Let's take a look.
Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga, Gauteng Premier Banyaza Lesufi, and the province's MEC Matome Chilwane visited the Nalmapia Secondary School in Mamelodi. The main aim of the visit was to encourage the matric class of 2022 at the school. The minister added that these learners have faced a tough time as they were the grade 10 class of 2020 when the COVID-19 pandemic hit the country. She has, however, said she believes they will do well in these exams.
This group, it was, when the COVID arrived, they were in grade 10. They only came back because when we phased in the grade 7s and the grade 12. So they only came back after June. So it means they would have lost the whole term between Easter and June. And when they came back, they had to do rotational. When the next year, when they were in 11, they had the whole year on rotational. So there's no park for them. Actually, they're hard hit, and that's why we had to put so many measures to support them for the time lost. When we calculated what we lost during COVID, under normal circumstances, we would have lost almost 60% of our time between 2020 and 2021. So we had, and teachers had to do lots of work to compensate for that loss. So there was no park for them, actually. It was rocky.
Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi had this to say to the learners.
From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for being here. You know how many people since you started grade R up until now, how many people have fallen along the road. Yes. The mere fact that you are here, you are at the doorstep of a better South Africa. Yes. So you go in there and do to that paper like what Kaiser Chiefs did to Pirates. Yes. Do it in that way. That's the only way out. So I want to thank you, Janilebo Manabaka, from grade R, Babambawa Musiling, Lena, you stand still, you stood still, and you are here, and you are at the doorstep of your future.
While the Education MEC, Matome Chelwane, said he too has faith in the learners at the school.
We are proud of you already, because we know you are going to pass. First part, this is 100%. When you greet them, say good morning, 100%. Good morning, 100%. They are ready, they are motivated. We don't want to disturb you in your sight. We know that you've studied very hard last night and for the whole year. All you want is that paper. You are hungry for it. Yes. So good luck.
The issue of load shedding has constantly been a problem for the education department. But the minister says that with CAT and IT out of the way, learners should use load shedding times to rest.
It's concerns for everybody, even for you and me, that with load shedding our lives get disrupted. But what we do, we work around them. When there's load shedding in the evening, you cook earlier. So that when it comes, you will have cooked. Same thing with them. They have to monitor the timetable and don't read when there's the 2 hours in there. So if it's 2 hours, they must rest. And then when the light comes, they have to study. So we don't want them to really emphasize the challenges. They've been faced with lots of challenges. They have to relax, accept the situation, and work around it and do the best that they can. So the load shedding shouldn't be their problem. Their problem is to read and work around it. When it's off, they rest. When it's back, they read. That's what should happen. Lights, they know traffic is going to be heavy. They leave earlier.
Learners who were affected by the load shedding and couldn't write their CAT or IT exams will write that paper on the 7th of December.
When we return, we find out how the first day and week of the NSC exams went in KZN and in the Free State.
Research is showing that NSFAS supporting students on average are performing better than non-NSFAS supported students, which is also something that is very important because it says this almost complete wraparound program by government of NSFAS students is become very important. Also, the change from NSFAS being a loan to being a bursary has also made a very big difference because it has now even opened access to students, even in those institutions that were unaffordable in the earlier phase of NSFAS. Universities that have been more expensive, like University of Cape Town, Stellenbosch, Wits University, Pretoria, there's been a huge increase of the numbers of black students from poor families directly as a result of NSFAS and the kinds of difference that it has actually made.
Everyone has their own definition of what education is and means. What is yours? TED is a show that seeks to challenge the status quo by inviting guests that have a role and an inspiring story to tell about their journey in education.
A lot of it is not learner-centered.
This show seeks to dive in deeper conversations in quest of answering the big question, why education when there's so much to do outside of it? Why invest energy and resources that are so impactful in our society?
You're seeing a cartoon character that looks like you counting to 10.
This show airs on DBE TV channel 122. In case you miss it, binge watch it on YouTube, DBE TV. And also don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, simply DBE TV.
Basic Education Deputy Minister Dr. Rejana Mhaule has urged matric learners in KwaZulu-Natal to give themselves time to understand the question before answering. She visited Ogwini Comprehensive Technical High School on the first day of the National Senior Certificate Examinations on the 31st of October. Dr. Mhaule was joined by the KZN Education MEC Mbali Fraser and the HOD Ngosnati Ngobo. She thanked the learners and teachers for their commitment and dedication throughout the year.
Grade 12, relax. Ningapaniki. Bilivelani kuloke enifundile. Nazi ukuthi hayi sifundile, sibhala lokho esifundile. Take time to understand the question. Take time to, don't rush. Take time to understand it. Once you understand the question, then everything will fall into place. Ungajaheli ukuthi mawubona omunye umuntu ongazi ukuthi ubhalani, umbone phakama asubmit iscript so hawu sho ukuthi mina ngisele so ubhala into ezirong. Miyeke lo phumaqala. Take your time. Mauno 3 hours, you take your 3 hours full. Mauno 2 hours, you take your 2 hours. Ungafakelwa umuntu pressure. Awumazi ukuthi ubhaleni lapha ya.
Now in the Free State, the Education Department says all went well on the first day of the National Senior Certificate exams. The department visited Lifigeng Secondary School to monitor the start of the examinations. The province says they are confident they will retain the first position when the results are announced on the 19th of January 2023 by Minister Angie Motshekga.
We are here at Lifigeng School as part of our program to check the readiness for the exams of the matriculants. We have chosen this school because it's the one with the highest numbers in the province. Our observation is that everything is well, there is no problem, all things as have been planned and arranged went as such. So, and we're also quite happy that the school will do well, but generally we're confident as the Free State position will retain its #1 spot next year when the results are announced.
The principal says a lot of work has been put in place to ensure the matric class of 2022 at the school do well in their exams.
The school is Lifigeng Secondary School Section U, Botshabelo. This is the only secondary school here, catering for about 6-7 feeders. We're a Quintal 2 school. We are no fee paying a secondary school. Yearly we have got an enrollment 300 plus of the grade 12s. The roll of the school currently total is 1,769. We have prepared learners. We have been working throughout restlessly. We have not slept at our places and for the larger part of this year. And we have had from term 1 extra weekend classes Saturday and Sunday. And then they went through up until June. Up until trial examinations, we are still going on. We are still going to be supporting these learners as and when they are writing in the process, in between different papers, we'll still be providing that support.
After the break, we are in the Eastern Cape as the Education Department monitors the progress of delivery of learning and teaching material for the next year.
Presidential Youth Employment Initiative siyakukhahlela mhlekazi, vuma sikutyibele ngamagama akufaneleyo, vuma sithi ungugxothi ndlala, umzila wakho ubonakele kwiminyaka nje emithathu zelwe, zothuka ezinye inkqubo zengqesho ebezikho zazibuza uba ngumafikizolo otheni nalo usuke waba ngundaba mlonyeni, zothuka ii-akhawunti zeebhanka zolutsha xa kungena ityhosha rhoqo emva kweminyaka yendlala nokuvaleleka kwamathuba engqesho, bothuka abazali namaxhegokazi bephiwa imali esongwayo ngabazukulwana, bangena ooplastiki bevenkile bephuphuma ngooninoni abathengwe ngetyhosha etsitse kuloo mimpele yakho ibhonxileyo, batsho baziqonda abazali ukuba inene ukuzala kuzolula. Sizotshintsha ngoku sikhumshe kuba kufuneka siviwe kahle zizo zonke inhlanga xa sibhentsisa ngenguqu oze nayo ngexeshana kweli phondo nakwizwe lonke.
Food safety plays a very important part in our program, and we give it the highest priority. So what we have done is that we have made sure that all our policy and guidelines also, they address policy, they address food safety. And therefore we work very closely with the Department of Health in making sure that we follow all the regulations that stipulate as to how food should be provided in terms of its delivery process. And you will see as of, in terms of this video, that we have a food value chain where we believe that right from the beginning, where that is from the growth of plants, of the food that is being planted, we need to make sure that even in terms of the manufacturers, we make sure that there is compliance and there are regulations that are being followed. So one of the things that we do in terms of making sure that we give the children the best quality meals as well as safe food, management as well as implementation is that we train our volunteer food handlers, we train our district coordinators as well as our provincial coordinators, just to let them have that information so that they make sure that the food that is being delivered at school, as well as in terms of how it is being cooked, it is the best for the learners.
The Eastern Cape Education Department has visited a warehouse in the province to ensure the delivery of learning and teaching support material for the 2023 academic year is on track. This year, schools were left scrambling after textbooks were not delivered, leaving learners and teachers with no material to work from as the year began. The matter was then taken to court, and the provincial department was ordered by the Makhanda High Court in March to ensure that all public schools had textbooks by the end of that month. The Education Department then delivered the textbooks almost as the first term came to an end. Now, the MEC, HOD and senior managers from the Basic Education Department have taken it upon themselves to monitor the delivery of the learning material to ensure the 2023 academic year gets off to a smooth start in the province.
It can't be right that we service people via court processes. We must always look at the blind spots. We have got a commitment and a social pact and a contract with the people of this country. It can't be right that they must organize themselves money for their government to serve them. Because remember, you are talking of destitutes here, people that do not have anything. So if then they must have a budget of taking their own government to court, what are they going to eat? So I'm saying state interventions will always be critical at that particular moment.
Meanwhile, the department says it is often looking at how to better the curriculum, this after it needed to be trimmed when the COVID-19 pandemic hit.
Yeah, there is a discussion that experts are actually engaging on whether should we bring in some of the curriculum that we had removed. But when we look at international trends, the South African curriculum was found to be very wide and in terms of depth, very thin. So what we have done is that trimming the curriculum is affording us an opportunity of focusing only on the fundamentals in line with international trends so that we can teach content deeper than we have done previously. And we believe that that is going to improve learning outcomes as we move forward.
To some good news, the KwaZulu-Natal Education Department has congratulated 2 soccer teams for winning both the boys and girls titles at the Confederation of African Football African Schools Championship in Malawi. Clapham High School beat Malawian side Salima Secondary School in the boys competition, while Edendale Technical High School triumphed in the girls competition. The double win in the qualifier also ensured qualification to the continental finals. The KZN Education HOD Kosnati Ngobo says he is confident that these learners will play for national teams.
even inganesikhathi sokuthi ikwazi iqeqeshe abantu abantu siyazi ukuthi njengoba iqeqesha nje naseyifundweni ukuthi aniyibekile phansi abantwana abadlalayo bayaphasa futhi bephasa esikoleni ilokho nje okusijabulisayo siyabonga abantu abangenisenzele ngona nenenzele izwe lase-South Africa ngona okuhle nje ngani abantu abangukuthi next year noma the year after khona bazobe bedlala kwi-Central Athletics
The Provincial Sport, Arts and Culture MEC spoke about the importance of school sport.
We are so proud. Yes, coach, technical team, we are so proud. Because how much school sports, so that you in mind, in the I think school sports, especially women in football, is a big deal.
That's how we end this bulletin this week on Channel 122 on OpenView and on YouTube. Thank you for watching.